What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Alex here from Alex AFV, and today we have another deck profile. So today we're going to be looking at Magnolia once again, and there's two different options you obviously can go with for Magnolia for this upcoming set, but I feel like the grade 4 version got maybe a little bit more support. The other one did get some support too, but at the same time, I feel like the ceiling of that deck is definitely higher, but the floor of this one is also higher. It's a more consistent deck, and I feel like when I'm playing this, it feels very easy. It feels like it plays itself in a lot of different ways, and I actually have a ton of fun with it. It has some really good matchups into certain things as well, so we'll kind of go over all of that as we go through the profile itself. But I'm very excited to bring this to you guys today. If you guys are interested in purchasing any of the cards that you see here today, do have a TCG Player affiliate link down in the description below. Absolutely no cost to you. You can help support the channel by shopping through that link. I definitely appreciate it. Thank you in advance. Also, if you guys are enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like on the video, possibly consider subscribing to the channel. So with all the good stuff out of the way, let's hop into it for real now. So getting into the ride line itself, we did get a new ride line over here. So for the grade 0, I know this one doesn't have the effect. I thought the art was cool. You can use any grade 0 you want, but over here for the grade 1, pretty cool over here now. So kind of like in theme revamp or whatever you want to call it, retooled kind of grade 1 and grade 2. When this guy is ridden upon by the grade 2 in the ride line, you essentially look at the top 3 from your deck, choose one grade 2 or less normal unit, call it to rearguard circle, and you may discard the rest. And you might be thinking, like, why are we discarding? You know, it's not really super important in this deck. It is actually pretty good when you see certain targets like Goalie Goat, also, oh my god, like Forbidal or whatever. Like, there's a couple different targets you want in drop, and it's so easy to recur stuff from drop now with certain cards. So this deck kind of like I said, plays itself, and having stuff in the drop is more like having it in a piggy bank, more so than just like it's gone from the game, I can't interact with it. So yeah, really solid card. Over here also for the grade 2, when this guy is ridden upon by a grade 3, essentially you get the Soul Blast 1, choose a grade 3 or greater card from your drop or a normal order from your drop, put it into your hand. So if you've used Mythiarch Habitat, if you've used something else at this point, you want to use it again, go for it, just go reoccur it. Otherwise, get that grade 2, get that grade 3 or greater. You know, you might have used it as fodder or whatever, just to ride. You can go and put it into your hand and not really neg as hard necessarily. So this is actually a pretty powerful ride line, a little bit more selective than it has been in the past, which is nice. Also, secondary skill does come up sometimes during your turn. If you have a grade 3 greater Vanguard with Magnolia in its card name, it just gets an extra 5k. An extra 5k is always good. Next up here for the grade 3, obviously we're just running regular Magnolia. CB1, you can give something the ability to attack from the back, and then you are able to give it also 5k, so not too crazy, but this is the main deck over here. Hopping into it, still need to be consistent, still need to ride this, and it's beneficial to ride it because you can get stuff out of your soul every single time. This is going to be 4 copies of the Sylvan Beast Emperor Magnolia Elder. So Elder, like I said, great card, allows your whole entire field to attack, also gives everything else 5k, gives you ability to intercept also from the back row. I wish it kind of gave us like an extra 5k shield or something, but maybe that would be a little bit too bulky. Overall, don't be afraid to intercept. There are, like I said, ways to recur in this deck now, things to kind of get your cards back. The overall power level of this deck isn't, like I said, extremely high, but at the same time, 6 attacks is 6 attacks. It's more consistent than Magnolia Elder. Than Magnolia Mask. Like, I was playing Mask for a while, and I still have to really test it, I guess, in this environment, but it just feels really bad. It doesn't feel as good as other Mask decks for whatever reason. We did get some consistency pieces, which we will kind of like review here, because we still technically are using it in this build, but overall just didn't think it was quite to my liking as much. Next up, I have 1 copy of Anger Love, and again, not to spoil anything, but we are running Forbidal in the deck, so you can go and search this out. There's one of grade 3s over here, but when this guy is placed on rear or guardian circle, you are able then to reveal a grade 4 in your hand, or if you have the grade 4 Vanguard, you automatically kind of get this. On rear guard, you can Soul Blast 1, choose a grade 2 or greater card with different card name from this unit from your drop, and then put it into your hand. So over here, like, Inlet Pulses put themselves into soul. Other things can like go into soul a bunch, and like you want to get those things back out. So the Soul Blast is less of a cost, more of like a recycling mechanic in my mind. On top of that, over here you can get an additional 15k, so a little bit more insulation for the deck is always good. We win through, I don't know if the Kyrie video will be live by the time I post this, or maybe it won't. But anyway, I view this kind of deck in general as like the grade 4 decks, more or less. I feel like almost all of them I feel this way. They're kind of like a wave, where like the wave will come, it'll go back, not a crashing wave, but just like a steady flowing wave. You're at the beach, it's going to come up, it's going to come down, it's going to come up, it's going to come down, it's going to push a little bit further each time, and it's going to just do what it does and like recur and get ready for like the next surge kind of going in. So that is the feeling with this deck. That's kind of like my mentality. This deck kind of bulks out, waits, and then kind of, yeah, just spin your wheels Make sure that you add as many attacks as that you can. Make sure that you are recouping as many resources as you can after the turn, and you are good. Speaking of Inlet Pulse right here, we are still running 4 copies of this. Still one of the best cards you can run. I know it's not super duper powerful. Like, it's really just an 18k beater if it's not boosted. But at the same time, putting itself into Soul, refunding a lot of the costs, and also just like drawing a card is super effective. You're triple driving, you have 2 of these on board, that's another 2 cards to hand, get something else and potentially get cards to hand. Like, your whole board at a certain point, you could be drawing like 5 cards at the end of your turn if you are playing, you know, to that kind of idea in this deck. Like, that's the way the deck is built, in my opinion. Over here too, an interesting card that doesn't get much love, and this is honestly a pretty good card, I want to say. There are some other targets and like choices you can go for, but in my opinion, this is a costless way to kind of like make sure that your whatever rearguard is behind it can get over that threshold. So this is going to be Sylvan Hornbeast, a Tigralta. I think I said a Tigralta. Something of that nature. It's auto on front row rearguard circle. When your other unit in the same column as this unit attacks, that unit gets 10k until the end of battle. So 18k in the front row, all of a sudden, boom, in the back row, whatever's swinging behind it, could be buffed by itself, could be buffed by this, and just kind of gets you to that next trigger, kind of like threshold or next guard range overall. Pretty solid. You can swap that out. It's more of a tech. I like it because it's costless, and we want to save our costs for certain things in the deck, which we will see. Over here, the GOAT of this deck, no pun intended. Honestly, the best card makes this flow so easily. Sylvan Hornbeast, how do you say this? Ben Spotty, Banana Spotty, something like that. When this guy is placed on rearguard circle, other than riding during the battle phase, other than during the battle phase, CB1, Soul Blast 1, choose one of your Vanguards with Sylvan Hornbeast in its card name. For every 2 grades of that unit, choose a grade 3 or less card from your different card name from your drop, and then call it to rearguard circle. So you can't chain these off of each other, but at the same time, like, you can go and get the Anger Love back, you can go and get other things back, which can get another copy of this, then you can activate this copy. So you can chain in that regard, and that's why Anger Love is also very important in this deck. But also, like, the Soul Blast, like, let's say you don't have any targets in what you want, you already have an Inlet Pulse and Soul, guess what? Soul Blast it out, like, get that refund cycle kind of going again, and just kind of get these back onto the fields. It's just so good. Its second skill, when this unit attacks, choose one of your Vanguards with Sylvan Hornbeast in its card name. For every 2 grades of that unit, this gets 5k until the end of battle, so an additional 5k from the Vanguard skill, additional 10k from itself if you're on the grade 4 turn. Makes this a 25k beater. Again, not insane numbers, but pair it with something like this, pair it with the trigger, you're at least in that 15k kind of like guard range, potentially even more if you do buff it with either a trigger or this over here. There's other ways too to kind of give it power, but having that 25k threshold is pretty good. Sylvan Hornbeast, Lycanwin over here, Lycanwin, I guess I said it right the first time. This is one of the new support cards. This is also used in Mask, I think, just a few copies. I think at 2 of it's just right because it does become a dead card later. Some people run this at 1. I like it at 2 personally. Again, I'm a little bit more conservative. You can trim this if you want to. But when this guy is placed on rearguard circle, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Magnolia in its card name, Soul Blast 1, discard a card from your hand, search your deck, or drop for up to 1 card with Magnolia in its different card name from your Vanguard, or up to 1 grade 0 normal order, which we don't really do in this deck. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and if you search the deck, shuffle your deck. Just another way to go find your grade 4s, and it's important. It's not just like, oh, I'm on Magnolia once, and like every other time after that, I don't care about rewriting. You kind of do, because you are popping stuff out. It can help you pop out the Inlet Pulse, it can help you pop out the Gold to Go, things that are popping into Soul. So overall, I do like it. I think that at 2 of, you see it just often enough. Speaking of Gold to Go over here, or how do you say this? Goildote, something like that. I don't know. Sylvan Hornbeast, Goildote, something like that. Drop, basically auto and drop when your Vanguard with Magnolia is placed. So basically you ride. You can tuck this guy into your Soul if you don't have another copy of it, and give your Vanguard 5k. So your Vanguard doesn't give power to itself, so you're just swinging triple drive 13k. A 15k drop to make it like a 2 to pass does not feel good. This at least breaks that and makes it a 1. So I do like it for that reason. Also, in back or rearguard circle, when this unit does attack, this guy gets an extra 10k until the end of battle. At the end of battle, this unit is in the center column. You retire this unit and draw a card. Card draw, always great. Feels good to have it in the drop. Feels good to put it back in Soul. Feels good to give it to your Vanguard. It's just a solid card all around. At 4 of, it might be a little bit much, but I do at times. I was running it at 3, and I feel like I need to see this every single turn at this point. So like, I do like it at that 4 of personally. I think that is the right ratio. You could bump it down to 3. I wouldn't like be 100% mad, but it's completely up to you. Also, just because we are using a little bit more resources than we did previously with the Counterblast, I did want to include this. Plus, it is a good beater in and of itself. This is going to be Sylvan Hornbeast Alpin. So Alpin, when this guy attacks, if you have a Vanguard with Magnolia, it gets 5k until the end of battle for every 2 of your grade 2 or greater units. This guy gets 10k or greater by this effect. At the end of the battle, you can bind this unit, countercharge, soul charge. So if you do really need to countercharge, you can do that. in my opinion. I think at a 1 of, it's just fine. It's normally like a 25k beat stick. So yeah, 5, 6 over there, 615. So yeah, so that's 25 plus the 5k from Vanguard. I mean, it's like a 30k. It's really not too bad if you don't want to retire it. That is cost, so you don't have to do that. It's completely up to you. So if you need that counter charge, you know, you can go for it. Otherwise, don't bother with it. Over here, I'm still running 1 Ganesha just because I feel like sometimes it's good to have this threat there to kind of spread around some of the trigger power, give itself just a little bit more oomph, and become a bigger attacker as well. But back row rearguard circle, when this guy attacks CB1, choose one of your other rearguards, gets this unit's power until the end of turn. So becoming, let's say, you know, 15k, let's say you hit a trigger, put it on 25k, all of a sudden you're boosting a 25 with another 25. Like, it just makes it really, really solid, and you're hitting power thresholds that typically will start to break down your opponent. Like, your opponent, sure, they can guard 18s, they can guard 25s pretty easy, things of that nature, but once you start getting into like that dangerous territory of that 25 plus on top of a 25 or 35, like those are difficult guard ranges, especially if they have not hit a defensive this turn. So I do like at least 1. In my opinion, you might be able to run 2 of these and maybe 1 less gold to go, but again, I'm kind of doing it right now. That's just like how the cookie's crumbling for me. This over here is a promo card that allows us essentially to ride into the grade 4 if we did go second. The only drawback is that you have to go and have it into your hand already, like grade 4. So it's not quite as good as maybe some of the other reriders, but it is necessary. You don't see it all the time. Again, if it's not going to be a good card for later on into the game, I don't really want to include it as more of a 2 of. Like, this is a 4 card package between this right here and that right there. It's very rare that you have to use both to go get it, but you have ways to go and get those cards and get them into your hand and like just basically ride onto the grade 4 Magnolia, because we need to start our turn. Like, we can't ever have, essentially, unless you're going first, like just a grade 3 Magnolia turn and have the game be okay. Like, we will not be able to keep pace, especially if like you're going up against like a stride deck, things of that nature. Like, you're just not going to be able to keep pace. So this actually is a very important card. I'm not running it at 4, but I think at 2 of you see it enough. I think you know, there are ways to search it. We are running kind of searchers in the deck as well. 4 of the any Sentinels you want over here, but we do have to run 4 of them because we are a grade 4 deck, so Elementaria will not actually be going off as effectively as we think. I'm going to skip over the triggers for a second and just go into the orders over here, and you might see some interesting ones on your screen. But first and foremost, Forbital. Again, you need to see the grade 4. I think that this is a great card if it is pitched off of the ride line. You can get this back into hand. You can get another grade 3, which will result in a draw on top of the grade 4 that you might need. Otherwise, you can get 2 cards that will result in potentially draws, like getting an Anger Love and a if you already have the grade 4 in hand, and an Inlet Pulse off of this feels really good. Again, you can search this other 1 of as well. It's just such a nice card. Forbital is definitely needed in this deck. If you really want to, I guess maybe you can make an argument for Angel Ladder. I feel like it's never incorrect to use it, but I feel like you just benefit so much more off that, and the grade 4 decks are still using it. Meteoric Habitat is like a cheat code for any Stoichia deck really at this point. It makes every deck feel like so consistent, so good. You can go and search for that like Hail Mary play. The nice thing about it too is this guy isn't just like one place from hand, it's just one place. So if you wanted to, you know, draw into a Meteoric, you have nothing else to really call. Meteoric can then call this down, can then call other stuff down, which can kind of just like spawn and start to build a field out of nowhere. You almost feel like it's like a Luar turn or something, where they just, oh man, they have no cards in hand, they have nothing, whatever, they can't make a board. Guess what? I actually can. Here you go. Lastly, over here too, just kind of heavily leaning into the theme of kind of gaining draw power, gaining a little bit of power, and just lasting the game out. It's gonna be Sports Festival of the Fields today, so if you watch my other videos, I try to always sneak in just a little bit of like EB cards, just to really make take full advantage of the energy itself, outside of just maybe just the EB7 to draw, because this still gets you the draw for less, plus gives you a little bit of power. So you get to choose one of your rear guards until the end of turn. It gets auto at the end of your turn. If the initial number of attacks this turn, that's weird, this says initial, is 4 or more, you get to draw a card and it gets 5k. So, you know, put this on whatever's like lasts. I think also you can choose the order of that red text, so like, you know, Inlet Pulse, even if you just have a full field of like Inlet Pulse and like maybe Gold to Goat, so like everything will go into Soul or retire, like the red text will still go off and you still will draw. So let's just like